With climate change, plants of the future will consume more water than in the present day, leading to less water available for people living in North America and Eurasia, according to a new study. The research suggests a drier future despite anticipated precipitation increases for places like the United States and Europe, populous regions already facing water stresses. Teenage girls are continuing to outperform boys in English while the gender gap in achievements in math and science has almost disappeared. The figures show that last year 80% of 14-year-old girls reached at least the expected level 5 in English, compared with 65% of boys. But in math, the girls are just 1% ahead of boys, while in science the difference is 2%. It is precisely in observing the intertwining of success and failure that Chasing the Flame makes its greatest mark. With piercing insight, it reveals the pitfalls of international politics and details an intricate struggle between individuals and institutions. It haunts us with the poignant trust that even a great man can do only so much to reinvent the world. To work effectively with the heterogeneous student populations found in schools, the educator needs to understand and feel comfortable with all cultural backgrounds. They also must understand the cultural setting in which the school is located to develop effective instructional strategies. The current measure has remained virtually unchanged over the past 30 years. Yet during that time, there have been marked changes in the nation's economy and society and in public policies that have affected families' economic well-being, which is not reflected in the measure. The major influence governing the climate of a region is its latitude. The broad latitudinal division of the Earth's surface into climatic zones based on global wind includes the following main zones: the equatorial, the subtropical, the intermediate and the polar. It is important to know that saving is not the same as investment. Saving is about cash, while investment is about real product. The difference is important because money, being liquid, can leak out of the economic system, which it does when someone who is putting aside unspent income keep it under the mattress. Female hummingbirds dot flashy feathers to avoid being bothered by other hummingbirds. They tend to have bright blue heads and throats. But make choice doesn't seem to drive these females' pretty plumage since males don't appear to prefer the blue females. Therefore, bright colors may help ladybirds blend in with the guys, and as a result, feed for longer without harassment from other hummingbirds. Domestic cats that are largely indoor hunt less than outdoor cats because they don't have access to mice. In the wild, feral kittens are taught how to kill prey by their mothers. Domestic cats often fail to learn this skill, which is why you will see them playing with anything they catch, or they may bring the mouse to you to kill. Britain said it will introduce the world's first public register of the owners of foreign companies holding property in the country. The move comes in response to growing concern over tax evaders and money launderers' use of shell companies to hide their identities. Australia has a proud modern immigration history. Government discrimination has been banished, replaced by a skills-based system generating unparalleled economic gain for Australia. Creating an environment where innovation can thrive depends on immigration. With a population where 1 in 4 people are born overseas, Canada's first ever poverty reduction strategy is built on the vision that all Canadians should be able to live in dignity. It is also built on the belief that all Canadians deserve to be treated fairly and fully participate in the development of their communities. Archaeologists have reconstructed methods of timekeeping that go back to prehistoric times at least as old as the Neolithic. The natural units for timekeeping used by most historical societies are the day and the solar year. Calendars are explicit schemes used for timekeeping. Our major conclusion is that the current measure needs to be revised. It no longer provides an accurate picture of the differences in the extent of economic poverty among population groups or geographic areas of the country, nor an accurate picture of trends over time. The natural environment can be hazardous, and, with increased travel and leisure, people today are more likely than ever to be exposed to potentially life-threatening conditions. Although the human body can adjust to some extent, It cannot cope with poisons or prolonged exposure to extremes of environment. Team members with what researchers call negative affect exhibit critical and persistent thinking that allows them to identify problems needing solutions. On the other hand, team members with positive affect engage in broad and flexible thinking that expands their range of information and helps them see unusual and creative connections. The geosphere includes all the stuff that makes up the crust and the core of the Earth and everything natural and lifeless that makes up the surface of the Earth. Examples are all the rocks and sand particles from dry land to those found at the bottom of the oceans. Titanic swarms of desert locusts resembling dark storm clouds are descending ravenously on the Horn of Africa. They're roving through croplands and flattening farms in a devastating salvo experts are calling an unprecedented threat to food security. On the ground, subsistence planters can do nothing but watch staring up with horror and at their fields in dismay. Misinformation is everywhere. It can be spread inadvertently if people make a genuine mistake. In today's environment, people get much of their news from social media, which lacks gatekeepers and therefore allows misinformation to spread fast and wide. People are being bombarded with information and it has become difficult for them to separate fact from fiction.